It's Women's History Month, and what better way to mark it than to celebrate some of the powerful women right here at CBS. At CBSN, we're kicking off our Women of the News series with an interview with 60 Minutes icon Lesley Stahl.
Her career has been punctuated by many firsts. She was among the first reporters to cover the Watergate break-in in 1972. She was the first female CBS News White House correspondent, and she landed the first post-election television interview with President Trump. Lesley sat down with our political reporter, Caitlin Huey-Burns.
I always associate you with major news stories. But I'm wondering, when you first got into this business, there were not a lot of women in these positions. What was that like?
Well, I came in with a little group. And what was great about CBS at that point was that they treated us, we were apprentices. They didn't just throw us out to sink or swim. They brought us along, and no one really trained us, but we worked beside the seniors. We got to see how they did the craft. And it was helpful. It was a wonderful system, and we should have it again.
You were covering Watergate, the biggest story in political history as we know it.
Well, that's a fluke that I got that story.
How did that come about?
There was this break-in at the Democratic headquarters at Watergate. Who would they send? It wasn't considered a big deal in the beginning at all. It was a local, Washington, D.C. break-in. So they sent the new kid, that was me.
Mr. Gonzalez, how were you treated in jail?
Mainly because it wasn't a big deal. And I was sent to cover it. The first thing I covered was the arraignment in the local Washington, D.C. courthouse. And there was only one other reporter there, and it was Bob Woodward. And he kept telling me, don't let them take the story away from you. So I clung to it. I mean, you could picture me clinging onto the side of a mountain as if I was climbing up, and I was just holding on to this story for dear life.
Was there a moment that you felt like, I am reporting history here, I am living through this, or was it more in retrospect?
Well, a lot of times in all that period, I would think, this story's dead. This story is going nowhere, because there were these long periods that it was dormant. And Woodward would always say, no, hang in, don't let them take it away from you. One of the things that I remember that resonates with me all the time is how the Republicans during Watergate stood by Nixon and protected Nixon and carried the White House message. There's something similar going on right now. There is the Trump press corps in Washington who's covering everything around Mueller, and now the Democrats in the House, the investigation.
One of my most favorite clips of you is you're reporting on the floor of the convention in 1980, and Walter Cronkite pitches to you and says, you've got some news.
Oh, Walter, I am just being told by a high lieutenant that the choice is Bush. I am being told that the choice is Bush. He's telling me I can go with it. I'm being told for sure. Apparently the deal fell through. A couple of senators were just called off the floor into the trailer, and somebody came running up to me, one of the top lieutenants from the trailer. He said that Reagan is here to tell the convention it's Bush.
What was that like?
I said, Walter, and I'm now contradicting my leader. I'm telling him, in effect, he's wrong. It's Jerry Ford. And he said, wait a minute, what?
Oh, that's the most amazing piece of news we've heard since we heard it was Ford. Now, hold on just a second. Who told you that?
Walter, a top lieutenant just came and said, it's not Ford. They're coming all around me to tell me it's not Ford. Someone told me it was Bush. They said it's absolutely definite. Go with it. They're all yelling Bush all around me. Everybody's yelling Bush, Walter. Bush? They're telling me Bush, Walter. Reagan lieutenants, men with colored hats all around, telling me Bush.
Well, it's amazing to watch, too, because then Walter turns back to the camera and says,
well, who's writing the script for this one? That's what I want to know.
I'm wondering what you feel about these opportunities for women in journalism.
Well, I see lots and lots of women, particularly on television, doing very well as reporters and in print. In fact, I think I'm seeing more women than I'm seeing men. I guess the big surprise for me is that it's come along so slowly. Why is it taking so long? I can't explain it. There's been a tipping point, though, I know it.
What do you make of the Me Too movement?
I think we've seen women find their voices. I think it's part of this tipping point. There are enough of us that women can feel safe to come out and say, this is unacceptable. And until now, I think women have been afraid that if they spoke out, their careers would be over. That's just not true anymore, which means more and more women feel safe to come out. I fear a backlash if it starts to bring in men, touch and taint men who are innocent. And I have seen that. And it worries me.
For CBS News, you were sent to Puerto Rico and you were pregnant. What was that like?
I was pregnant. I was very pregnant. And I was covering Washington at the time. I wasn't at the White House yet, but I was covering Washington. And the powers that be did not want to show the public that I was pregnant. So every couple of weeks, the camera came higher and higher. And Don Hewitt, who was running 60 Minutes at the time, created it, thought, wow, a pregnant woman, let's show that on 60 Minutes. He was a showman, you know. He understood how to make people sit up and say, wow. His motto was, he wanted everybody to say, wow, I didn't know that.
You mentioned Susan Zorinsky, who just started this month as our president, and you mentioned that, you know, it's been a long time coming. We're really excited about this new era in CBS News. Any advice that you would give her?
I thought this would have happened 15 years ago. Okay, it's a little late, but it's great. Susan was in college when I started at CBS News. So I told you I started in '72. The Watergate break-in was weeks after I got there in the summer. And Zorinsky, as a college student, came in and was the Watergate researcher. She knows more about CBS News, our culture, our DNA, than almost anybody. And she's going to be perfect.
Is there anyone else that you feel that you really want to interview that you haven't already?
Well, no, but I always did want to interview Nancy Reagan. I always thought that she was more powerful during the Reagan presidency than she really got credit for. I knew that she would not admit that because she wouldn't do anything to take away from Ronald Reagan's glory.
Do you feel in any way that you have anything left to prove?
That is a good question. I don't think I ever approached in my own mind my career as if I was proving something. I never feel I'm in danger, ever. I don't think, I mean, after the fact, I have looked back and said, what were you thinking? But never when I'm in it. It's like the eye of the storm. When I went to Fukushima and went into those power plants.
How close are you and I right this minute to the core?
The melted cores are about 70 feet that way behind
70 feet from here is the melted core?
Correct.
It never struck me to be concerned, really. I like it. I like the doing. And I remember many, many years ago thinking, what is your goal, kiddo? What is your goal? I'm going to tell you that I think I've accomplished it, and my goal was to survive, doing what I love to do. Everybody's always saying to me, when are you going to retire? And, you know, one day CBS will tell me that I have to retire because I won't do it.